Number 9, River Tiber. Number 13, Oncoming, draws into the field. Number 13, Oncoming, is a starter. Number 14, Avenue, does not run. And Oncoming makes it a dozen in the starting gate. They're off. King Creek Road takes the early lead. Air Force Red, Gold Phoenix is next, followed by Wilder Than Most. Then it's Rio Ocho. One Fast Bro, Carmelita's Man, is on the inside. Onto the clubhouse turn, and they hook up on the lead. Cane Creek Road with Wilder Than Most next in second. Air Force Red holds the rail in third. Gold Phoenix is on the outside of that one by 2 lengths, followed up by Rio Ocho. Then it's Spirit Maker next. One Fast Bro, Carmelita's Man, Nerves of Steel is on the outside. Love is right down at the rail, Oncoming, and River Tiber is last. Continuing down the backstretch with Cane Creek Road in front by just over a length. Wilder Than Most is racing in second. Air Force Red. Gold Phoenix is poised to pounce by some 2.5 lengths, followed up by Rio Ocho. Spirit Maker is on the inside, and One Fast Bro, the outside of that one as they turn for home. Cane Creek Road is holding on to the lead. Here is Gold Phoenix swinging up. Gold Phoenix up on the outside. Cane Creek Road battles on. It's Gold Phoenix. Cane Creek Road. Rio Ocho coming on. Gold Phoenix. Rio Ocho in the run to the wire. Gold Phoenix. Rio Ocho. Gold Phoenix. Rio Ocho. Carmelita's Man was closing in a photo for the show. Final time, 1 minute 34 and 94 100ths. Ready. They're off. They broke together. Shaw's Charlito hustled up from the outside. Vittorio. Dark Vader checks back. Soy Tapatio. Shaw's took that turn wide. Is the leader. It's Shaw's. In front, Dark Vader on the inside. Vittorio on the outside. Charlito 4 lengths. Soy Tapatio. Mike Smith and Shaw's head to the backstretch by half length. Victorio. A prize pressure in second by 2 lengths. Dark Vader is third. Charlito. Stride for stride with Dark Vader. 4 lengths. Soy Tapatio in fifth. It's Shaw's by 1. Vittorio by 2. Dark Vader on the inside. Charlito on the outside. And Soy Tapatio. 5 lengths front to back. Shaw's opens it up 1.5 lengths. Vittorio, then Dark Vader, the inside. Charlito slips back. Soy Tapatio makes his move 3 wide. Around the turn, Shaw's is there. Vittorio comes back for more. It's Shaw's by half length. Vittorio, Charlito, Soy Tapatio, and Dark Vader. They are past the quarter pole and at the head of the stretch. Shaw's shows the way. Vittorio is second. Charlito is third. Soy Tapatio, Dark Vader, the inside. Shaw's past the 8th pole on top by 3. Vittorio, Shaw's in front. Shaw's, this is an undefeated Uncle Mo colt. Shaw's coming onto the wire, 3.5 lengths. Vittorio, Soy Tapatio. Today is Food and Beverage Team Appreciation Day. Please show some love to your favorite Lined up. They're off. It's Divine Rascal and Hail Freedom with Cerulean away in third. Big Flame is then next in fourth. Franklin, 1 Star, is charging through on the inside, followed up by Short Man. Then it's Bang for Your Buck right down at the rail. Really big news, Rocky Gibraltar. Now, as they curve on the bend, Hail Freedom has the lead narrowly. Divine Rascal is next in second. Cerulean makes his move on the inside in third. Franklin, 1 Star, is racing fourth. Next is Bang for Your Buck, following up in fifth. Then it's Really Big News, running in sixth. And Big Flame on the outside is second. Rocky Gibraltar, and finally it's Short Man. Hail Freedom on top a length. Cerulean on the inside. Next, Divine Rascal. Franklin, 1 Star, the Blaze. And they're at the head of the stretch. And Hail Freedom is holding the lead as Cerulean comes up alongside. But Hail Freedom now in front by 2.5 lengths. Cerulean is second. Rocky Gibraltar is right down at the rail. It's Hail Freedom. Hail Freedom in front by 2. Cerulean is second. Bang for Your Buck. And Rocky Gibraltar in the run to the wire. Hat trick for O'Neill, for Smith. Hail Freedom is the winner. Cerulean, Bang for Your Buck.
Casino at San Manuel.
Of the $1 Golden Hour, pick 4. 8th race, post time on the board, 5 o'clock, 27 minutes from now. One Silk Stocking will make it 8 in the starting gate. And they're off. Good start for Karen with an eye from that rail slot. It's American Heights, however, going to the front. Lady T has some speed, and Secret Fix does as well to take over. M is for Magic, 1 Silk Stocking, Family Affair barging through. Down the backstretch, Secret Fix in front by 1, Family Affair by a half. American Heights, then M is for Magic, Lady T. 4 away from the front, My Kentucky Girl. Karen with an eye on the inside. And 1 Silk Stocking is the trailer. As the field turns for home, Family Affair is there. Secret Fix, Lady T is up on the outside. Family Affair as they straighten away for the stretch run. Lady T coming on the outside. My Kentucky Girl, Lady T. My Kentucky Girl, and Family Affair is back to third. It's Lady T with the on-charging My Kentucky Girl. Lady T and My Kentucky Girl lengthening her stride when it counts. My Kentucky Girl, Lady T, Family Affair. M is for Magic. On Taming the Tigress, scratched. Number 1, Taming the Tigress, is scratched. With Exacta, Trifecta, Dime Superfecta, Dollar Super High 5. Golden 880, pick 3, 196, 3540, Dime Super, 6723 at 114 and 33. $1 Super High 5, 67235, 3,071. She walks up. Equilove and Callan. Just about ready. They're off. And Equilove is quick from the outside. So too is Stressed, going on for the lead. Congratulated is next in third. Woodbine Way moving up on the inside. Then it's New Pi Lambda next. On the inside, Red Diamond, Callan, Christmas Surprise, and finally Paid Informant. Moving down the backstretch, Congratulated and Stressed. Those two hook up. It's congratulated, stressed by 3 lengths. Equilove is next in third. Woodbine Way is the fourth horse. New Pi Lambda follows fifth. Red Diamond is then in sixth. Callan checked back there. On the inside, Christmas Surprise. And Woodbine Way also dropped back. There at the head of the stretch. Still the pitched battle on the front. Congratulated and stressed. It's congratulated, very tough, stressed. Meanwhile, Equilove, and on the outside, Christmas Surprise, looking to spring a surprise. Here comes Christmas Surprise onto the front. Red Diamond and a flying Paid Informant.
Our seminar guest today is a trainer. As a matter of fact, he has saddled 4,950 starters. He has 609 career victories. He's earned over $36 million in his training career as well. Plus, he's trained multiple graded winning stakes horses. But more importantly, he's contributed to society. He is the sire of one of the most successful broadcasters in thoroughbred racing. Hi, everybody. My name is Tom Quigley, VIP Player Concierge. Also, your seminar host for the next 40 minutes. Delighted that you decided to join us on a beautiful afternoon here at the Great Race Place. But without further ado, let's bring in our seminar guest for today. His name, Pete Eurton. Pete, welcome to the seminar.
Hey, thank you for having me.
How's your morning been? You woke up a lot earlier than I did. What's your morning been like so far?
Well, anytime they come back good and healthy, it's been a good morning. So today was very good.
And they came back good and healthy yesterday as well. You ran a few, at least one at Oaklawn Park, stormed the court. He obviously was in a little bit tough in that position, but your plans are to ship him to Keeneland for his next start.
Yes, I don't think I had that much foundation into him, but I just tried to get a race into him, and unfortunately they were dogging it pretty good the first quarter, I think is what kind of took its toll the last 50 yards.
You know, you do ship around a little bit. Of course, you've had a lot of success at Keeneland, a lot of runners that you've had come to mind. We Miss Frankie, Storm the Court, who we mentioned, Champagne Room. You're very successful with limited stock. You're not one of the people that really gets expensive yearlings at the sales, but yet you're able to produce with the stock that you get.
We try to kind of find spots that we think we can, can do somewhat well at them. And, we just got back from Sunland Park and we had a little bit of luck and a little bit of bad luck there.
That's the kind of the nature of the game, right, Pete?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question that I ask all our seminar guests. How did you get involved in racing in the beginning? What was the start for you? Was your family in racing? Did they introduce you to the races? What was your start, or what was the beginning to thoroughbred racing?
Well, both my father and my stepfather were in racing. My dad owned horses, and I was, probably 10 years old going to the racetrack and jumping fences.
Here in Southern California?
Yeah, I'd jump the fence at Hollywood Park and get in there and see the horses and have a little fun. And
did you fall in love with the game?
Yeah, I did. And then I found out when I was like 16 that my stepfather was a trainer, Steve Ippolito. I don't know if you remember Steve or not, but very successful in his days. And so I decided to be a jockey. I went to jockey school at 16. So.
And then how long did you ride for? What circuits did you ride on?
It wasn't that illustrious of a career, but it was fun. I rode for a couple of years, 19, 20, part of 21. up in Canada, mainly Alberta. It's a nice province up there where it's kind of cold when we got there in March, but
for a California boy,
people were great. It was fun.
Now, how'd you meet your wife?
I met her here in Arcadia.
At the track?
She saw me at the track. Her dad was a big avid fan too, and he owned horses.
So she was stalking you.
Al Valley, yeah, she was. And I run into her. My sister worked in a clothing store here in the mall, and I went in to see her, and we kind of hooked up there, and we've been together for like close to 40 years.
Now, the rest is history. Of course, you got married, but you did have one daughter. Her name everybody knows, Brittany Eurton. What was Brittany like growing up? Did she want to get involved in the game, or did you kind of discourage her to stay away?
It didn't seem like she was really going to get involved in it. It was more she wanted to dance. She was a dancer since she was 5, and very good student. She got into soccer. She was just in a lot of activities. She went to acting school. She went to SC. Got her bachelor's there in business, and it just I think she one day, after a couple of years of acting so far, she run into Frank Lyons, and he says, you might want to try this out. And 10 years or so later, she's been with TVG and NBC and having a good time of it.
She is having a good time, a worldwide traveler, that's for sure. She was at Gulfstream Park for TVG this past weekend covering the Florida Derby. I'll tell you a quick story with Lafitte Pincay you might or might not have heard. Of course, Lafitte Pincay Jr., the Hall of Fame jockey, many consider to be the world's best jockey. Obviously, he was the father of Lafitte Pincay III, who was also a broadcaster now. So when Lafitte III was in high school, he was getting a lot of parking tickets. Of course, he went locally here to one of the high schools, and his dad was getting real upset with him because, of course, he drove a nice car to get a lot of parking tickets. So Lafitte Jr. said to Lafitte III, look, go down in the basement, and you're not coming out of the basement until you figure out what you want to do. So he was down in the basement for hours. But Lafitte would walk by every now and then. He put his head against the door, and he could hear Lafitte III listening to race replays. And he goes, oh, no, my son wants to be a jockey. I don't want him to be a jockey. So he emerges from the basement about maybe 3 or 4 hours later, and he tells his dad, you know what, Dad? I want to be a broadcaster. And from that point forward, at the age of 16 until today, he's obviously had his focus, and that's kind of like a focus his dad had as well as a jockey. So you just never know raising kids, right? What they want to do, you want to give them the freedom. You mentioned she went to USC, but it's funny how life kind of takes some strange turns.
It does. And Lafitte's very, very talented. He's got a great voice for it, and he's very good himself.
What do you think it is? I mean, there's other people as well. Scott Hazelton, his dad was a trainer. He turned out to be a good, successful broadcaster as well. What is it about the appeal of being under these bright lights that you think appeals to the younger generation?
Once you've been on the track and you're at the races, it's something that you want to find a way to make a living at. And we can't make it at gambling, not all of us, but it's an injection into it, and you just kind of find your way. And I think a lot of it, like Scott and Brittany and Lafitte, all got a taste of it, and it's hard to get it out of your system.
It's funny you mentioned the gambling aspect of the game, because most people watching this seminar are gamblers or horse players. I see the racing form in front of you. I wanted to have you handicap the 9-race card. How much time do you actually spend handicapping? You have to do some if you want to dip in the claim box, or you want to see the competition of the runners running against a horse that you might have entered in the race. How much time do you spend handicapping?
Well, I feel for you handicappers, because I mean, I did all 9 races, and it's
a lot of work, isn't it?
It is a lot of work.
It is.
I mean, who's got time?
Well, we make time.
I mean, I guess. So I'm here all morning. I get done about, so I got to get into this handicapping, or else I'm going to look like an idiot here. I probably still will, but.
No, you certainly know enough to be dangerous, that's for sure. But all kidding aside, what type of things maybe do handicappers not know about that aren't in the racing form that you would know about? I'll give you a few examples. Horse swallows his tongue. Horse loses a shoe. It's a bad ride. Maybe he's an outside type of horse, and he's drawn inside. Just give us some examples of things maybe we can't see in the racing form that we should maybe pay more attention to.
I think the biggest thing is where the running class, finding out where they can be competitive on. I think here at Santa Anita, when you have horses that are running on the dirt, you want to find spots to where they can be forwardly placed, because if you get, very seldom can horses come from within 4 or 5 lengths out of it and still continue to run on the dirt. They just get, the kickback is really tough here.
We're never going to be far out of it. Whenever we have trainer Peter Eurton as our guest today, we're going to find out who Pete likes on today's 9-race card. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to replacement announcer Alan Buckdahl, who's filling in for Frank Miramati, who's under the weather today. Find out what those early changes are. When we return, we'll get Pete's handicapping analysis. Thanks so much for tuning in on Sunday here at the Great Race Place.
Good afternoon, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Santa Anita Park. The main track is fast, and the turf course is firm. On the turf, rails are set at 20 feet. There are no program changes in the first race. In the second, number 5, Vela, the jockey is Kyle Frey. Number 5, Vela with Kyle Frey. No changes in the third. Fourth race, number 5, Pinedale, make the rider Jessica Pfeiffer. Jessica Pfeiffer on 5, Pinedale. 6, Tribute to a Fleet, 2 pounds overweight. And 8, Mongolian Bonus, 2 pounds overweight. In race 5, number 7, Sniper Kitten, it's Jose Valdivia Jr. Jose Valdivia Jr. riding 7, Sniper Kitten. In the 6th race, number 9, Medina Man, make the rider Mario Gutierrez. Mario Gutierrez on 9, Medina Man. Number 11, Surf Ladder has been scratched. Scratch 11, Surf Ladder. In the 7th race, number 3, Tapet Deux, 2 pounds overweight. In the 8th race, number 2, Noble Reflection, is scratched. Scratch the 2, Noble Reflection. Number 3, Owning, 1 pound overweight. And in the 9th race, number 7, Bender, has been scratched. Scratch number 7, Bender, 9th race. Returning you now to Tom Quigley and Peter Eurton.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with trainer Pete Eurton. It's our pleasure to have him today. And Pete, before we take a look at today's 9-race card, a couple of questions for you. I mentioned some of the Grade 1 winners and Breeders' Cup winners you trained as well. Let's kind of walk down memory lane. Talk about a few of them. One of them, which of course I know is a sentimental name for you, We Miss Frankie, Grade 1 winner, including winning the Oakleaf Stakes here at Santa Anita. Yeah. What are your memories of We Miss Frankie and, of course, Frank Alicia?
Well, we didn't have her that long. She got to run a good part of her 3-year-old career. And we purchased her at maybe months after Mr. Alicia passed away, Frank Alicia.
Longtime owner and client of yours?
Longtime owner and friend since I was like 16. So we went to the Ocala sale and we picked her out. We hadn't been doing too much of that, but Mrs. Alicia wanted to jump in there and find something, and happened to have been a filly. And she was, I think we gave 175 for her, whatever. Named her We Miss Frankie. And from the day we got her, she always showed a lot of talent. And that's when we had synthetic racetracks too, when we bought her off of a synthetic track. So she was a lot of fun. I think we won 2 Grade 1s with her, and went to Breeders' Cup with her. It was fun. And she injured an ankle and had to be retired. So
speaking of fillies and Breeders' Cup races, Pete, what about Champagne Room? What are your remembrances and recollections of her?
She was so much more different than We Miss Frankie. She was bigger, stronger. Filly with just wanted to go one way, and that was go. You know, it was her way. And I can remember working her for Breeders' Cup. She broke in with a couple Baffords accidentally. She ends up working 11 and change before the Breeders' Cup, and that's probably what got her the trip all the way around there. But very fast filly, and obviously she's got a few foals now on the ground. We're noticing, and we're always watching those.
And the owners, the new owners, paid a lot for her as a broodmare prospect. Certainly, the people from Japan. Yes, she got a pretty penny at auction. Let's put it that way.
She did. I think they bought her for over a couple $1 million.
What about other runners? Like, I'm just throwing out names, and maybe. Well, let me ask you a different question. Who's the best horse you ever trained? And the reason why I ask that is a lot of times it might have been somebody that never made the headlines. Maybe an unraced maiden who you thought had a lot of potential. Yeah. Maybe it's somebody that we are familiar with. But in your opinion, who maybe are the 1 or 2 best horses you've ever trained up to this point?
Well, you have to love Ashley Love Sugar.
No doubt about it.
He went on to run until he was like 7 or 8 years old. He won maybe 5 groups for me, not a grade 1, but we lost a lot of our turf grade 1s here to whatever reason. But he went to the Breeders' Cup on a win in Eurton, winning the Del Mar Handicap. A lot of fun with him.
And he's now a retrained or retired racehorse as well, is he not?
He is. He's in, I think, North Carolina. And he's having a blast.
Because we see that on Twitter and a lot of the social media channels now. You see them basically taking on a second career.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see, right? Because really every thoroughbred should find a new home once they step off the racetrack. And I know you're very passionate about that.
Well, that's what you have to think about. There is another life after racing. And if we can keep them healthy through this and find another way for them to have fun, God, more power to it.
All right, Pete, we're going to take a look at today's 9-race card. So we're going to see how much homework you did, and we kick things off coming down the Hillside Turf Course for California bred fillies and mares. It's just a straight allowance race, and the rails today are at 20 feet. Also, race 1 begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. We've got a field of 6 here, and the current betting choice in the morning line favorite is number 2, Teddy's Barino from the Mark Glatt barn, who we haven't seen since July of last year down at Del Mar. Question for you before you give us the winner of race 1. What's it like getting a horse ready off a long layoff? Like, in other words, do you consider that to be one of your major attributes as a trainer, or do you like to give them one? Generally speaking, what's your training style?
It is a challenge. I mean, definitely a challenge. You're trying to get them from point A to point B in one piece, but then you also want them at least fit enough to where they won't injure themselves. So sometimes it's timing, whether the races come up perfectly, or if you've got so much time, it's overkill. Like, I think we had a horse, Betty Bambino, come off of a 22-month layoff. And he had so many works into him because we were off between seasons with Del Mar over and Los Alamitas, and the race is not coming up. And, you know, he won a grade 2 coming off a 22-month layoff, but that doesn't happen very often. And
it's an individual choice as well, right? The horse also will kind of tell you whether or not they're ready to fire. No matter how much work you might put into them, they just might not be ready to fire.
Well, the older ones too, especially, they seem to know what it's all about. They've been there, they've done that. They know why they're there. They get fit quicker. So it's a little easier on an older horse.
With that as a background, Pete, do you like Teddy's Barino in race number 1, or are you looking elsewhere?
Well, you know, he is on the inside. It's a very short field. I think he's going to get challenged a little bit early by She's a Dime and possibly Dee's Lovely Sophia. But I think it's going to look good for. Is that Ute? Is that how you spell that?
Yes.
I like Ute, even though Pratt seemed to have jumped ship. But I think Teddy's a really nice filly if she's ready to win off the layoff. But
let's talk about a few things you just mentioned, Pete. Again, I'm focusing in, kind of picking your brain as a handicapper. First of all, Ute is a 3-year-old running against older. She's lightly raced. Does that concern you at all? In other words, at this time of year, a 3-year-old tackling older?
Absolutely. Absolutely it does. You're right. And it's a good point, because it is a challenge for the 3-year-olds to take on the older horses. Grayson, me and Teddy's Barino sire, is this loves the grass. Her first race off of in her life, she ran a decent race, but she seems like she might need one. And, you just don't know. It's the workouts are, it's not generic, but I just like the number that you got on her last race, and I think she's going to give her a challenge. But I could be wrong.
Usually that happens as a handicapper. Yeah. 2 other follow-up questions. Number 2, Teddy's Barino, you mentioned the inside post that she draws. That also is of a concern to you. You'd rather be placed outside in a sprint race rather than down inside.
It is a question mark there, but you know what? With a 6-horse field, it's not as bad as, say, you had 9 or 10, because then you're going to get packed wide the first turn. You might get pinched going in when it starts to go left again. So it's a great race, though.
And you also mentioned Flavien Prat. This could be the last time he rides here until late November. He's back riding on today's card. In your opinion, what makes Flavien such a good jockey?
He's patient. I mean, he knows where to put a horse in a winning position, as he always seems to. I just think him on grass or dirt, it doesn't really matter. He just has great hands. He can get the most nervous individual to relax, or he can put an aggressive horse into position and then get him to relax again. So he's just an amazing runner. I think he's going to do great things over there.
And it's interesting you mentioned hands, because that's what I always heard about Bill Shoemaker. He also had soft, patient hands as well. It's just an attribute some of the best jockeys have, and you can't really teach that. It's just a God-given talent.
His demeanor, he's just a relaxed individual, so I think that carries over into the horse too.
Let's take a look at race number 2, Pete. This begins the 50-cent early pick 4. This time we're sprinting on the main track, 5.5 furlongs, I should say. For fillies and mares, $20,000 is the claiming tag. 1 jockey change. Make the jockey number 5, Vela. Kyle Frey, morning line favorite number 2. Busy Painter from the Steve Knapp barn, 6-5 on John White's morning line. First off the claim, and a confident double jump up in class for the Nap Barn. What say you about race 2?
Well, I think there's some speed in here, but I have a feeling if Busy Painter gets the lead that he thinks he is, and Tyler decides to kind of lay off him a length, I think he might be gone.
And it's interesting you bring that up, Pete, because as handicappers, we always say pace makes the race. I can already tell just in the first 2 races you've handicapped, you try and envision what the pace scenario is going to look like. And based upon that analysis, that's really going to lead you to hopefully a potential winner.
Yeah, and I think the one will probably maybe get away a little bit because he's going to be standing there quite a while. But we'll just have to see if the pace does make the race.
Number 1, Scream and Shout, ridden by the Bug Boy, Diego Herrera. What are your initial impressions of Diego's talent?
I think he learned a lot riding over at Los Al for all those races. I think he's got good hands. He's good at getting out of the gate, gets him in a good position. He can only get better.
There's no substitute for experience, right? That's true in any craft that you ply, whether you're an electrician, a plumber, or a jockey. And certainly, like you said, the more repetitions Diego has on the back of a horse, the better he's going to get.
I don't know when he loses his bug exactly, but he might be able to continue on.
We sure hope so, that's for sure. Let's take a look at race number 3. This is the first of 3 runners you have on today's card. And also take note, race number 3 is a $10,000 super high 5 carryover. We've got a field of 7 here, sprinting 6 furlongs on the flat turf course. It's for starter optional claiming types. Morning line favorite, number 6, New Park, in for the $50,000 tag, putting blinkers on. But your runner here, Pete, is number 3, Cherubic Factor, second choice on the board at 5-2. Before we get your thoughts on the race, I wanted to show the workout back on March 20th in team with Renegade Princess. In my opinion, on the training track, Pete, here, this was a very, very strong workout. Cherubic Factor on the outside. What did you think of this workout?
I was just trying to get some exercise. He just ran not too long ago. The filly that he's working with needs company, so it was kind of like a combination of 2 things, trying to get them both done at the same time.
And of course, we can't work on the turf course here, so you're forced to kind of work on the training track. Obviously, Cherubic Factor really likes the main, the turf course, being a son of the Factor. Do you expect him to run really well today? Because it certainly looks like he's in good form right now.
No, he definitely seems to be holding his edge. I think it's a 2-horse race. Myself and New Park. If he catches an easy lead and he's for real, he'll be tough to catch. And we're just going to have to try and keep him not too far, especially him being on my outside. He's going to have crossover, and then I'm going to have to try and go catch him.
Keeping in mind, we're just speaking generically, not about New Park people. What goes into the decision of adding blinkers to a horse? From your perspective, what kind of are the alarms and bells and whistles that go off that maybe you and the owner say, you know what, we should try blinkers on this horse?
Generally, focus, I think, is probably the key word. Trying to get your horse to focus.
Sometimes
we start out with a large blinker, and then we'll start to kind of gradually get it smaller and smaller. Baffert, you'll see he uses a lot of times cheater blinkers, and he's just basically trying to have them looking forward and run their race first time out of the box.
And I think as handicappers, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you use the word focus, we can kind of see that maybe visually. What comes to mind is, first of all, you can see kind of horses looking into the grandstand, or maybe when they're entering the far turn, they're looking right when they should be looking left, or even maybe with the position of their ears. You can kind of tell there's just some signals they give to you. Is that kind of what you look for in the morning as well, or maybe in their previous races?
Well, we want them to be on the bridle. A lot of times, even leaving the gate, they tend to looking around, looking at the starter, just something there to keep them looking down the racetrack and get away well.
And then conversely, what about blinkers off? Why do you decide to take blinkers off a particular horse?
I think too aggressive could be a good. It's funny, in Europe they use blinkers, full cup blinkers, to get them to relax, but we use them for a different reason here seemingly. But I think we'll get to where they start to grow up, they don't need them anymore, and we'll take them off.
Let's take a look at race number 4, Pete. This begins the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. The jackpot single ticket carryover now up to $178,000. That money will be yours today if you're the only winning ticket in the Pick 6. I'm not sure there'll be an only winning ticket, but it's certainly a challenging sequence. And we kick things off going 1 mile on the main track. For maiden claiming, $20,000 is the claiming tag. A field of 9. Take note, the new jockey number 5, Pinedale, is Jessica Pfeiffer. Morning line favorite number 4, Little Light-Headed, the second-time starter from the Mike McCarthy barn, adding Lasix and taking a big drop down in class. What do you do with Little Light-Hearted?
Well, Little Light-Hearted, is he going to be able to? He's going to get his way in the race. He's going to be right on the lead more than likely. He stopped really bad. We don't know why, but
it looks like he bled. Right.
You have to assume it's Lasix. It's a very aggressive drop for a horse that potentially coming out of a maiden special you thought was better than that. So it might be a combination of things.
also a homebred as well. So that gives them the options of maybe dropping down in class.
Yeah.
And we've seen trainer Michael McCarthy do this before. We'll look at a later race where one of his runners taking a big drop. Runner by the name of Thrive, you might remember, took a big drop down in class for Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners. So certainly this is a move Michael McCarthy has done well before at this meet. If little lighthearted at any other competition in race 4, Pete, who do you think it might be?
Tribute to a Fleet, possibly. He's consistent. I mean, when you say consistent, his numbers are getting better. This is a bad race.
Yeah, exactly.
this is not.
Welcome to the world of handicapping.
Yes. Coming out of off the grass, now going long on the dirt,
and putting blinkers on.
I think he could possibly be in the mix of the Exacta, along with the Whiskey Vision.
Fair enough. 4, 3, and 6, some combination thereof, is who Pete likes in race number 4. Let's take a look at race number 5. Begins the 50-cent late pick 5 sequence. We're back on the turf course. 1 mile is the distance. $40,000 claiming tags. A lot going on with the bottom runner, number 8, Hurricane Cloud. Blinkers on, Lasix on, and first-time gelding. Take note, the jockey number 7, Sniper Kitten, is Jose Valdivia Jr. The morning line favorite is Sniper Kitten from the Brittany Vandenberg barn. This is a really good race, Pete, only because there's so many changes, as I mentioned, with the bottom runner, Hurricane Cloud. It's tough to evaluate because John Sadler's throwing the kitchen sink at him.
I think this is the most difficult race I had to handicap, trying to figure out. Maybe 4 or 5 horses here have a chance to win this race.
Okay, tell us about a few of them and why you like them.
Well, I think Border Town, I think he's got enough speed, but where he can be close enough, but he needs a good front end to run into. I think he is going to catch a Mandela's trying to figure him out. I think this is the most aggressive drop we've got in the race.
No doubt about it, right? He's only 1 for 10 lifetime, but like you mentioned, Richard Mandela, to me as a handicapper, and other people could interpret this differently, looks like Richard Mandela is willing to lose the horse, right? He's an 8-year-old, he's a gelding. If you can do something well with him down the road, then so be it. But Richard Mandela, this time of year, all of you guys are trying to open up maybe a few barns for the incoming 2-year-olds. So certainly he is a contender based upon his past class. Other than Border Town,
plus he's going a mile.
Exactly right.
I think he's going to enjoy that.
Going from a sprint to a route. Who else do you like in the race? Flavian's on the 2
Absolutely. I think
fair.
Flavian's going to sit into a good spot too. I don't think he has to be on the lead with this horse. He seems to like it a lot, but I think being in the 2-hole, he could probably lay second if somebody wants it worse than he does.
4 and 2 amongst many contenders in race number 5. Let's take a look at race number 6. We are going 6.5 furlongs in the main track. It also begins the 50-cent late pick 4. $12,500 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. We've got a field of 10 after the scratch of number 11, Sir Flatter. Number 9, Medina Man. Make the jockey Mario Gutierrez the morning line favorite. Number 6, Big Scott Daddy from the Mike Pipey Bar. 9-5 on the morning line. Also take note of the jockey on number 2, Musical Gem. Hannah Leahy is the jockey. She's a 10-pound apprentice. She had 1 win over at Turf Paradise. There's another example.
2. I think
2. Okay, 2.
One,
See, another one snuck past me. But we remember the days. We're old enough to remember when Drayden Van Dyke used to ride over there on Mondays and Tuesdays and then come back to Southern California. Another example of getting repetitions in as you're an apprentice jockey.
I think Tyler did it too. He was
on
Monday,
did.
Tuesday, Wednesday. He was winning a lot of
exactly right.
But
won a lot of races for the Kruljack family. All right, enough of turf history. Who do you like in race 6 and why, Pete?
Well, Doug's horse is dropping down. Obviously, he runs better numbers seemingly on turf. It's obvious. His 2 horses, his numbers were much better, but I think he can get a jump on.
Another one adding blinkers.
Yes, and Big Scotty got a lot of class there. More class than I think than most. Let me see. Those would be my 2 picks there.
Okay, 5 and 6. Let me ask you a question, Pete. As you mentioned, Quantum Quest maybe being your top selection. Why do you think some horses prefer turf rather than the main track? In other words, how do you evaluate whether or not they prefer one surface over the other as a trainer?
It's funny. You'll run horses on the turf and they'll get beat 3 or 4 lengths, right? That's a long ways, really.
Yes, in a turf race.
Because if you try to put them back on dirt and they get beat like 10, 12, 14 lengths, people think they ran really that good, but they still ran 6 or 7. I just think it's the comfort zone. Horses will continue to run on grass because of the not the kickback back there. So it's more of an even run race. It's more exciting.
Enough about horse racing for a minute. I'm going to digress. You're a big Dodger fan. What can we expect from the boys in blue this year? Obviously, they've been active in the offseason. Clayton seems to be back on the beam. You go to a lot of games with your family, your wife and daughter. What are your expectations for the Dodgers this year?
Well, according to Roberts, it's supposed to be get it all, but I think he shouldn't have opened his mouth like that. But they got a great lineup from top to bottom. Pitching's a little bit suspect, if they stay healthy. they need to probably, if they make the playoffs, which they should, they'll probably trade for somebody.
They got a new closer as well in the bullpen.
Yeah.
So
He got hammered yesterday, though.
he sure did, as a matter of fact. And what about the Lakers, our beloved Lakers? They're having a tough go of it lately.
That's sad to watch.
It is sad to watch, isn't it? But the Clippers have some hope. Maybe they'll sneak in the playoffs and do LA proud.
That's about all they're probably going to do. Either. No, I'm just kidding.
Doesn't sound like you're a
I'm
Clipper
not a big
fan.
Clipper fan. No.
I could see what you were saying. Race number 7, we're back on the turf course, and we're also running 1 mile. It's for starter optional claiming fillies and mares. Field of 7, this is where Pete has his second runner entered. It's number 1, Noble Hearted, who's 4-1 on the morning line. Comes out of the same race as number 2, Summer Daisy, who's the 6-5 morning line favorite. Also another runner out of that last race, which was back on February 25th, is number 6, Looking So Lucky, from the Alexis Barba barn. Let's take a look at that replay that all 3 runners exit back on March 25th. Let's watch that replay. And as they break from the gate, Pete, Noble Hearted broke from post position number 2 this particular day. You can see in the CRK Silks kind of showed a little bit of speed and then was very patiently ridding here. Obviously, Summer Daisy is going to get the first run on her. But this was just her second race back off a bit of a layoff. What do you think of Noble Hearted's efforts as we're watching this replay?
I think she ran relatively well. I think she got a little bit in tight over there, checked at the 3/8, kind of like lost a little bit of momentum. And that's when the favorite, I think her name is Somber Daisy, who ends up running second in the race, got a jump on us there. But the key for her is I think she needs it at one point. Say the horse that's laying third wasn't there.
Correct, exactly right.
We would be able to move out and get into a much more comfortable
Instead, you're committed to the inside,
it
area.
Is, and it's really tough. It's not an easy thing to do.
And you make a kind of a little middle move here as well, down along the rail. But as you see, as she progresses, there's really no room for her to go.
She's not explosive. She's a grinder, so she can't get stopped and they expect her to get going again. So she's going to have to find some way to get off the rail.
As we watch it visually, you'll see she kind of flattens out as they turn for home. She's not.
She had to check right there.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But the point I wanted to make, Pete, as we see maybe visually, she's not really making up a whole lot of ground. They were smoking up front. Her come home time, if you were to look at the internal fractions for the final quarter, was 23.17 seconds. That's hard to believe, because you can see Ryan Curatolo, her rider in this particular race, and her rider today, was really scrubbing on her, but she's not making much of an impression on the front 2 runners. But she's still running fast. Yeah. That's the deception, and she actually finishes really well here to be a good third, considering the amount of subtle trouble she had. And it's also likely she's going to improve now that with this being her third race back off.
I don't think she got much out of her first race.
Obviously, take a look at her running line.
Yeah, and then her last race, I think she's fit. She schooled well the other day. She's trained well. So hopefully she can bounce back and show some races like she did in the past.
As we watch that replay of Summer Daisy finishing in front of her, finishing second by a head, is she the one to beat, or are you looking elsewhere as far
She's definitely the one to beat.
As far as your
other... Beach Grass could be in the mix too. And here's come off of a good effort in the maiden 50.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Pete, because Beachgrass actually beat Open as a maiden, and the reason why I think she did so well is she added blinkers. She was a 3-year-old. Blinkers went on for the Doug O'Neill barn, and lo and behold, at a big price of 18-1 under Abel Cedillo, she exploded into the winner's circle. Sometimes something as simple as adding blinkers could be a reason for that big improvement.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's take a look at race number 8, Pete. Begins the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4. That links our last 2 races with the last 2 races at Golden Gate. Yesterday's Golden Hour Pick 4 results paid in excess of $9,000 for a $1 wager. Higher minimums, lower takeout means better payouts. And we kick things off here in race number 8, going 1 mile on the main track for $50,000 claimer. Scratch the 2, leaves us with a field of 5. Morning lane favorite on the rail, number 1, Proverb, is the 8-5 morning line favorite. But this is where your third and final runner on the day, Pete, appears. Number 4, Direct Line, a half to Candy Boy. So certainly the breeding is there.
Yes.
Probably has been a bit of a disappointment, but now you go sprint to route. What was the thinking of entering into this race?
Well, the sprint to route was basically for Canadian Pride.
Okay.
To get the race to be full.
And obviously that was successful.
It was, yeah, absolutely.
For Canadian Pride.
So we just gave him a little bit of freshening for it, about a month, but he seemed to fire out of it well. But you look at this race, and there's a lot of horses just trying to search. Haven't run that well of late. The 2 horse, obviously he's out now. Owning, more of a sprinter type looking there. Direct Line, he's got to have the trip. He needs to get off the inside. If he gets shoved down on the fence, he'll only last maybe 1/8 of a mile down there. Then he gets
an example of what we're referring to later. He needs to be outside as opposed to inside. Does he just get intimidated, or why does he kind of shut down?
It's been like that ever since when the Canadian Pride and him ran together as a maiden. He was on the inside 2 hole. We liked the way he trained for this race. We thought he was better than Canadian Pride based in the morning, but as soon as he got in there, he got intimidated, and it's lived with him ever since.
And Tyler knows him well. He rode him the last 4 times, so he knows his quirkiness. He knows what he needs to do.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a question, Pete, because as observers, we see you in the walking ring talking to the jockey or maybe giving him last-minute instructions. You know, is that a bunch of hooey? Like, do you call up the jockey the night before the race and kind of go over strategy? Like, when do you kind of give the final instructions to a jockey, you personally? Or if you do, maybe you don't.
I mean, for me, if he's been on the horse a lot, you know, there's no reason to just make it kind of relaxed and social in there. If there's something that you want to, he's a new rider on the horse, never been on him, you haven't spoke to him, you might tell him any kind of little habits he might have or what you think would be best for him.
And you spread it around a lot as we look through the 3 runners today. You're using Mauro, you're using Ryan, and you're using Tyler. What goes into that decision of who to use on a certain horse? Is that kind of a combination of you and the owners? Do you have the final say? Are there certain jockeys you prefer over others? Don't need to name names, but just what goes into that calculation?
Well, most owners are very easygoing about it with me. They let me pick the riders. I like a guy to get used to him. If he's been on them several, I'll usually stick with him. You know, so I think they're all capable here. It's pretty equal riding calling we have, I think.
We saw that on Friday. Tyler had 2 wins on the 9-race card, but then we had a different jockey win every other race other than Tyler. That's rare to see because in the past it was either Flavian or Umberto or Juan Hernandez. So it certainly makes for better gambling, that for sure. And you can sympathize with jockeys being a former jockey, right? It's
oh yeah, I was really good.
No, but I'm saying it's a tough profession. It's the only one where an ambulance follows you around. You've got to make split-second decisions. It's very, very tough.
No, it is. It's dangerous. And I mean, I rode for a couple of years, and I feel for these guys. It's I know what it's all about. So.
And they work hard 7 days a week, just like you do.
Yeah.
We close out the day and we close out the week in race number 9. Keep in mind, next week is Run Happy San Diego Derby week. On Friday, we'll have 8 races starting at 1 o'clock. But first things first, we close it out in race number 9, which offers $5 golden hour daily double wagering. Similar concept. Last race here at San Diego with the last race at Golden Gate. We're going 1 1/8 on the turf course for starter option allowance type. Scratch the 7 Bender leaves us with a field of 8. Take note, both number 2 East Rand and number 6 Willie the Cobbler are first-time geldings. Before you get your pick in the race, Pete, and the morning line favorite is number 5 Street Ruckus at 5-2. What goes into the decision to geld a horse?
Sometimes they're just getting a little too heavy. Sometimes again they're not focused. So that's the biggest way to improve one for me. Without they start to like I can give you an instance like Fantastic.
Sure.
Or
Turf Sprinter.
Turf Sprinter. He was nowhere at the age of 4, and then he's went on a run. And he's back running in 2 other vans, and it's just all he thinks about them. Before he just he's so distracted. I mean,
imagine that with a male animal.
Yeah, he'd wash out in the paddock. He wouldn't just I think again more focus and their body type stays a little bit lighter too.
So we should pay attention to the 2 first-time geldings, as I mentioned, number 2 East Rand and number 6 Willie the Cobbler, simply because they might be more focused. But the Seren Barn has been on a tear lately, winning a bunch of races. Give us a winner because we need it to close out the week, Pete.
You know, you think he's going to catch a lead here, but I think he's going to get compromised a little bit, and I'm going to go with 2 closers, La La Land and 7 Charms.
The 2 outside runners, 4-1 with La La Land.
At 1 1/8, I think we might be able to catch that.
And does the turf course play to speed as well, Pete, in your opinion, or can you maybe be a little bit more closer friendly on the turf course?
You can be. It's not too biased. I mean, I think you can. It's fair. You can close if there's a pace.
Sure.
If there's no pace, they're gone. You know, I mean, Mario did. I think the other day we knew he was the only speed, and he just went gate to wire. I was in the race, so I kind of saw it.
Firsthand, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Pete, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and insight today. I know you're a busy man. It's been long overdue. Continued success, not only on today's card, but of course down the road, not only here at the Great Race Place, but wherever your travels may take you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Of course. Appreciate all of you watching as well. Thanks so much. Have fun today, everybody. Good luck. Next voice you hear will be track announcer Alan Buckdahl with the Raising of the Colors. Also, any late program changes. Thanks again, everybody, for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of our national anthem? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, where the main track is fast, the turf course is firm, and rails on the turf are set at 20 feet. Here are the program changes. There are no changes in the first race. Second race, number 5, Vela, will be ridden by Kyle Frey. Kyle Frey on 5, Vela. In the third race, there's a carryover dollar super high five, $10,352. No program changes there. In the fourth race, it's the start, 20-cent, Rainbow Pick 6, jackpot. Carryover, $178,079. Jackpot carryover. Fourth race, number 5, Pinedale. The jockey is Jessica Pfeiffer. Jessica Pfeiffer on number 5, Pinedale. Number 6, Tribute to a Fleet, £2. Number 8, Mongolian Bonus, £2. In the fifth race, number 7, Sniper Kitten. Make the jockey Jose Valdivia Jr. Jose Valdivia Jr. on 7, Sniper Kitten, race 5. And in the 6th, number 9, Medina Man, will be ridden by Mario Gutierrez. Mario Gutierrez on number 9, Medina Man. Number 11, Surf Ladder, is scratched. Scratch the 11, Surf Ladder. In the 7th race, number 3, Tapa 2 pounds overweight. In the 8th race, number 2, Noble Reflection, is a program scratch. Scratch number 2, Noble Reflection. Number 3, Owning, 1 pound overweight. And in the 9th, number 7, Bender, is scratched. Scratch number 7, Bender. The first race presents Exacta, Trifecta, Rolling Double, Rolling Pick 3, 50 Cent, Early Pick 5, Dime, Superfecta. Post time is 1 o'clock in 24 minutes.